From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater, Radio 111 presents The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie G.
And welcome to The Desert Scene. I'm your host, Bonnie G., here with my fabulous producer, Brian Mendoza. And we're going to welcome now to the show our old friend, dear friend, Jeff Hocker, who is a PR guy, man about town extraordinaire, who knows everything that's going on. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, I just got a little bit older. You know, my birthday was this last week on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy birthday, late birthday.
Thank you.
He's 32 again, just so you know. Okay.
I am. I'm holding steady at 32.
So I know you've got a lot of stuff going on. You just did a health run. Tell us what you're working on right now, what's coming up.
Yeah. First, let's talk about the Palm Springs Friends of Philharmonic.
Okay.
They are an organization that actually presents symphonies, which means that they schedule and they coordinate symphonies coming into the McCallum Theater in Palm Desert. Mm-hmm. And every year their lineup is stellar, and this year has not disappointed. They opened the season this year with the Israel Philharmonic. They had 120 musicians on stage at the McCallum.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, when you see like 10 basses and, 50 violinists,
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. And, my whole thing is like when I always see them all hitting the same note at the same time, mm-hmm. and they're doing it really fast. I mean, that is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they kicked off their 49th season. They are heading next year into their 50th anniversary season.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal. And it seems like, 50 years ago, that was really kind of a jumping off point for a lot of the nonprofits in the Coachella Valley. Mm-hmm. The Guide Dogs of the Desert just turned 50. There's several other big organizations too. So, I think there was a lot of minds that were really like looking at what they could do to provide more opportunity for nonprofits as well as, bring in more culture to the Coachella Valley. Mm-hmm. Their concert that they had this last week was the Philharmonie Brno, which was from the Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. And again, when you have a European orchestra come in, the style and sophistication is a little bit higher from the standpoint of the instruments they bring in, too. Mm-hmm. They had an incredible brass section with tubas and trombones and trumpets that you don't always hear in a symphony orchestra.
Yeah.
And that's part of, the music that they bring in. Dvorak Symphony No. 6 in D major was their big symphony that they did that night. Mm-hmm. But coming up, they actually have the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields, and that's actually from the United Kingdom. Okay. And that'll be on Monday, March 6th. And Avi Avital is the mandolin player. What you're seeing also with these symphony orchestras is that they're bringing in younger talent, younger conductors mm-hmm. to try and appeal to a younger audience as well. And sometimes you'll even see some of these orchestras play more modern pieces. It's not always the Beethoven and the Mozart and all that. They really are trying to appeal to a younger audience because
mm-hmm. Exactly.
Some of these organizations are aging out, and they want to make sure that they have a legacy. Mm-hmm. And, especially heading into their 50th anniversary season, they want to make sure that it's bigger and better than ever before.
Yeah, yeah. Super.
So I can tease a little bit. We haven't made the announcement yet for the 50th anniversary season, but one of the orchestras is the Royal Philharmonic.
Ooh.
World-renowned, world-class orchestra, one of the top in the world, and we have them coming into the McCallum Theater.
That's great.
If you want more information, you can go to psphil.org. That's psphil.org. The Palm Springs Friends of Philharmonic is a subscription series organization. So you have to get in early to get the best seats. Mm-hmm. So I always recommend people to call and get all the information by phone at 760-341-1013. And that website, again, is psphil.org.
Okay.
So, again, 50th anniversary season coming up. You can't beat that.
Cool. What else is going on? I know you got more juggling more balls in the air.
Well, we just had our Palm Springs Health Run and Wellness Festival. And, of course, we're already looking at vendors and sponsors for next year. It was really phenomenal. What I kind of build the event as is a one-stop location to get free health testing. We had Livestream Blood Bank there doing a blood drive, which we surpassed our goal. Our goal was 24 pints of blood, and we surpassed that.
Great.
And, I'll tell you, if you have an opportunity to get blood, do it as often as you can. All the hospitals are always in a shortage. And what happens is that if they don't have enough, then they have to go out to other areas and get blood from them. And they all kind of have a network, and they all kind of work together. So give blood, give often. And we had Eisenhower Health, who was presenting sponsor. They were doing respiratory screenings, and they were actually showing people how to do CPR. And Desert Oasis Healthcare, they were doing BMI and glucose testing. We had some of the top health professionals, which I think Ted Geis and Jace Gaye, and just so many wonderful people came and made that event possible. We had over 400 runners that were part of the event this year. If you want information about next year, you can go to PalmSpringsHealthRun.com. And I'll tell you, it's one of those events where everybody wants to be there because they are, giving you all this information about how to live a healthy and productive life.
Yeah. I think everybody is looking for that. I want to ask you something, just John, because I've known you a long time. You've been how long have you been living in Palm Springs?
I've been here about 22 years now.
Okay.
I was still living in San Francisco. I bought a house down in Palm Springs, like a lot of people use it as a vacation rental.
Yeah.
And I was going back and forth between the two cities. And, at some point, it seemed more like home in Palm Springs than it did in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving down here. And then that's when I got the job at the Palm Springs Bureau of Tourism.
Yeah.
And traveled worldwide promoting the city of Palm Springs, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But when you travel nonstop for 4 years,
it wears you out. Yeah.
It wears you out.
Oh my gosh. So Jeff, you're somebody that I think has a unique perspective in general, especially from the standpoint of events, tourism, that kind of thing. How would you say Palm Springs has changed in the 22 years that you've been here?
Dramatic. I was just talking about this with somebody recently, actually one of the city councilmen from Rancho Mirage. And I'll tell you, when I moved here 22 years ago, there really wasn't an art, theater, and restaurant scene. And what we've seen is continual growth of different smaller theater companies. As you're performing all over the valley all the time. So many different venues now for small quartets, soloists, even small combos. And, that just builds a much more fruitful existence for people to come and live here full time. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing, year-round residents more and more.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, there really wasn't any restaurants to speak of when I first moved here. It was all about steak and martini bars.
Yeah.
And then, now we're getting, Asian cuisine. We're getting a lot more Latin America cuisine. And it's really, the scene has been phenomenal. There's so many chef-owned restaurants in Palm Springs now. And one of them, which I wanted to promote, is Reforma. Reforma is a brand new fine dining bar and nightclub experience.
Ooh, tell us where is it exactly?
Well, and this is what we're seeing a lot of too. There was a lot of buildings for a long time that just sat dormant.
Yes.
And empty. And like now what they're doing is a lot of investors are coming in and they're redoing these buildings. So this is right across the street from the Palm Springs Art Museum, Architectural Museum, which is right at the corner of South Palm Canyon Drive and Baristo.
Oh, okay.
It used to be a building called the Alley.
Okay,
It
yes.
was kind of a knick-knack shop, sold all kinds of things, candles and all that kind of stuff. So now Reforma has moved in next to Bevmo.
Okay.
And what's great about this space is that because it was kind of a warehouse, they were able to build out from the ground up the kitchen, the restrooms, all of that to their specs, rather than going to a facility that had already
been
built.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now it's becoming the location for all kinds of different, they have drag queen brunch on Sundays. They've been having different artists come in and sing. The hottest DJs from around the world have been coming in there. And, the Super Bowl was there, sold out, so they're really looking at the space as an all-around kind of function space where you come in, you can reconfigure all the tables, chairs, and all that, and fit it to whatever event.
That's
you're doing.
great. I'm going to have to check it out. That sounds fabulous. Yeah.
So if you want more information, you can go to reformaps.com, and it has their menu. It has everything that's coming up for the different events. And this is the owner who also owns Chill Bar on Arenas.
Okay.
Which, is one of everybody's favorite places to go. Great dance bar. Great community partner.
Yeah.
He supports a lot of nonprofits. So, those are the type of people that I gravitate towards. I want to work with people who are also giving back to the community, giving to nonprofits, and also creating unique spaces that people want to come to.
Right. So, and so that kind of answers my question I was going to ask, because I know there were empty buildings for quite a while in Palm Springs. But do you feel now that the ball is rolling for the resurgence for those one by one to be filled up and taken over by a certain business?
Yeah, well, especially that corridor right there, that South Palm Canyon corridor, because, Julie Montante, who owns the 420 Bank Dispensary and Lounge, she took over a building that was 20,000 square feet that was an old bank that sat vacant for 30 years.
Wow.
So the city was more than happy to work with her, to redevelop that corner.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Hocker, you always have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. I knew you would. Thank you so much for updating us on all this stuff. It's exciting. I'm going to have to check out Reforma. And, keep doing what you're doing. And you have your finger on the pulse of everything. So I always go to you when there's something. What's going on that's exciting? Jeff Hocker knows.
Well, thanks, Bonnie. And I promise I'm going to come out and see you sing very soon.
Okay.
What's your next gig coming up?
Razzle Dazzle is sold out the 23rd, but we have one March 9th and March 23rd at PS Cultural Center. So maybe we can check one of those.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's upstairs in the lounge, right?
Yeah. Yep. All right,
Okay.
Jeff, thank you so much for being here. We love you. All right.
All right, Brian and Bonnie.
Thank you.
See you soon.
We'll talk to you guys next time on The Desert Scene.